but definitely. I mean, competition, brings the best out of all of us. So that's how I look at it. And our guys, and I was able to just have dinner with our QBs, current QBs, and I love this group. I love this group a lot. And just also not only the skill sets they bring and the competitive juices they have, but also who they are off the field, their hunger to learn, they're just a lot of their natural leadership qualities. So all of those things are going to just lead us to being an extremely competitive group. And the reality is, everywhere around the country, you're going to compete against 4 or 5 guys. It doesn't matter where. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whatever, quote unquote, you did before, or this or that or the other. It's about what are you doing right now. So that's what's exciting about this group and how much they're going to sharpen each other.
Is he here now?
He is not.
Okay, so he won't be here for spring ball?
I think he gets here right at spring ball. So I think that with that second session, I'm learning about that as well, where you can enroll in the school. But don't quote me on that, but the plan would be to be able to still get into school right around March 15th before spring ball starts.
What's the process like? He gets his release in Florida, so obviously it's kind of an accelerated recruitment process. What's the process behind the scenes that you guys do? Obviously,
Yeah, I mean, obviously it has to go through the steps to make sure, everything's cleared, and once it is, and quite honestly, with some of Coach Dillingham's relationships with him before, all the way back to his Oregon and potentially, Florida State days, there was already that natural connection in recruiting, and that happens a lot. So, and from there, it's honestly just getting on campus, being around it, and especially, when you've already kind of gone through a lot of the recruiting process, at that point, you're just looking to gain some data. It's not about all the bells and whistles. It's data on coming in and, and sitting down and talking about the offense and talking about scheme and getting a feel for the people in the area, which obviously is incredible around here. So that's really all it was. It wasn't anything magical or anything, strategic. It was just get up here. This is who we are. This is what we're about. Obviously, we love, your skill set and what you bring to the table, and on top of that, who you are. But you got to get a feel for it, gain that data while you're here on the weekend, and and obviously it was something that felt right to him.
What does Jaden do best?
Shoot, he does a lot of things best, but if you had to pin me down to one, I think he stresses the defense with what he can do when a play is off script. So I can list a lot of things he does well, because he throws a lot of different balls from the pocket. He keeps his eyes downfield. He can give you things in the read game and the RPO. But if you were to look at it from a defensive coordinator standpoint, in my opinion, I'm watching it going, okay, I've made a call, the proper call. I've stopped the play that was called, yet all of a sudden he just used his feet, not just to run, used his feet to extend the play, to create something. So I just think when plays are off script, I mean, it is really impressive, to what he can do. And that's a dagger in a defensive coordinator or a defense in general.
That sounds like Jaden Daniels. That's what everybody said about him, right?
Yeah.
Same body build, too.
No, he had a lot of those same qualities. And I recruited Jaden out of high school, too, while I was at Cal. So I got to know him really well and got to watch him at Cajon. So, yeah, there are similarities to a lot of guys. And every player you can make similarities to former players, this, that. But at the end of the day, everybody's got their unique stuff. They're themselves. They're who they are. And they're going to be, and he's going to work to be the best version of himself.
You and Jake have been here for a little bit now. Thinking kind of about them, and how do you think they're going to embrace this competition?
About the team in general or the QBs? They're going to absolutely embrace it. Like we were just having dinner last night, and there's a confidence in that room. There's a natural leadership qualities in that room, but there's also a strong team element. And it doesn't mean they're not competing like heck against one another. Take anyone coming in out of it. They're competing like heck against one another, but at the same time, they're extremely supportive of one another, and you can see that. And sometimes that's tough to have that mixture of both, but they have it. And a lot of it has to do with their maturity. So, no, that group is like, whatever it is, bring it on. We're all competing, and they should be. They should be thinking that way. Every one of those guys should be thinking, you know what, I'm going to go out and earn this thing and put my best foot forward.
The situation quickly turned to a national story, kind of spotlight. Were there any challenges, or was there a different approach, maybe to signing someone like that was so much in the national spotlight all of a sudden?
No, any approach on what would
just like something like this story, like all of a sudden it seemed like it kind of broke all of a sudden, and then very quickly it moved over. up to his commitment to ASU? Like, were there any challenges with how fast maybe that it moved?
No, I don't think so. I mean, because really at the end of the day, yeah, the challenges aren't there. I mean, no matter how fast it moves, no matter what it is, he's part of the 23 signing class. And I know there's a lot of high profile with that, but at the end of the day, he's going to join us as in our QB room. He's one of us, and he's part of it, whether or not this was an extensive recruiting process or whether or not it felt like 1 week of it. It's the same end result. So no, I wouldn't consider the challenges at all. At Mahomes for sure. I mean, he turns more dead plays into positive plays. And hence why he's winning a ton of games and continues to go back to championship. And I'm not saying making that comparison. I'm just making the idea that is one of those qualities to where that's some of the stuff that's tough to teach. To be honest with you.
Instinctual extend, maybe I'm going to scramble to run guys, and then there's I'm going to hang around and try to find somebody open. Where is he at on that spectrum?
He can do both, but he definitely can find guys and keep eyes downfield. And that's even tougher on a defense. Because once you give it up and you tuck the run, that's dangerous too, and there's time and place for that. But if you have the ability to extend a play and keep your eyes downfield, that's when truly explosives happen, a lot. And you're able to free guys up. Guys are covered, perfect defense, extend the play. You've gotten guys open. And not just gotten guys open for short gains, sometimes huge gains.
How do you evaluate the mind or the aptitude beyond the field with the transfer or shot or anything?
Yeah, the less time you have, obviously, the tougher that is. That's the truth. But like I said, there was a relationship already developed with our head coach from way back before he was ever on this campus. So that relationship was developed. I got to spend a lot of time with Jaden while he was here. So I got to spend that time. Usually in the recruiting process, for me, if I'm in that spot recruiting a quarterback, it's multiple phone calls, an unofficial visit, different things where you're able to, just get to know one another. And a lot of that getting to know one another is getting, just like he's collecting down on us too. And I tell him that, just as much as I'm kind of evaluating your mental aptitude and where I'm at, you're also evaluating my coaching style, or my demeanor, or how I do things. So that's usually, so it is tougher, quote unquote, with a transfer, but there was already a prior relationship, that way. And plus I know, different people who have worked with and know him, so we're excited about that part of it.
Some coaches like to get guys on the whiteboard, go through verbiage and all that. I know probably with a shot of that, you don't need to do that. But how revealing are those things in a recruiting process?
It can definitely be revealing, and it's not a bad thing to do, but it's also not the end-all be-all. Because sometimes they're a product of how they were taught in high school. So in fairness, I don't like to just say that, oh man, he wasn't very good on the whiteboard or he didn't know coverages. Well, if someone has an unfair advantage of being taught a different way, but that person is capable, I get more into, do I think he's capable of getting there even if he's not there right now? That's how I look at it, because I don't always know the process, what he went through 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade compared to someone else, in terms of what he was taught, how he was taught.
You've had your own scheme in your career, and Kenny has his scheme, and you guys are now sort of melding the process. What has that been like, and how do you think that's going to play out?
It's been a blast. I mean, I'm having a blast with it. We've gotten to spend more time in the last 3 or 4 days with true football than we have the last 2 months, just because you've been busy recruiting. And that was priority number one. We had to get a team ready to get a team for spring ball. But now we've been able to do more football, so I'm able to dive more into it. And what I'm excited about, and I told people this is a true story. He coached with a receiver coach that I coached with him last year, Junior Adams. I coached them 4 years at Eastern. I've stayed very tight with Junior for the last 15 years since we first met. Middle of the season, I'm watching one of those late Pac-12 games because a lot of them are late, or even if I recorded them, so I'd go back and watch them like during our season, and I'm watching some of the things Coach Dillingham's doing. And he and I necessarily didn't have a relationship, so right away I'm hitting up Junior, and this is October, mind you, and I'm telling him, hey, I love what he's doing. What are you guys doing? Talk to me about this. Talk to me about this. He said, oh yeah, B, you'd love some of this stuff we're doing. We're still doing some stuff like we did, but here's some stuff that we're doing that's different. This stuff's good. And, oh yeah, that's kind of like what we used to do there, but it's different. And I told him, I said, flat out, this is in October, I want to get with you after the season. And I want to study this stuff because you always look to do that as a coach. If you ever think you're a finished product, you're done. That'd be anything, business world, anything. So I was like, I want to study you guys. You're one of the 3 or 4 or 5 teams I want to try and just go study. So I'm saying that in October. Funny thing is, a month later, I'm going to have the opportunity not to study it, but just kind of mold it. So that's it was just funny that there was that connection, and so when you ask me if I'm excited, couldn't be more excited to be able to build things together and learn a lot about the things that Coach Dillingham is doing and has been doing.
I heard him talking to Booster yesterday. He was saying that same play concepts kind of everywhere, right? But it's kind of how you teach it and how you understand how to maximize your personnel. And so, what's your perspective on that? Giving quarterbacks more sort of feedback, ability to have feedback, autonomy, and line showing.
I love it. And he probably did it recently to a level a little more than even I did, even a little bit more, which is great, and I love it. But I still have always been on the side of giving my quarterbacks a lot of freedom and empowering them, and letting them, change routes or letting them readjust protections or letting them, hey, just as simple as signal something out there if you don't like that, or letting them talk to me, midway through the week. I mean, coaches can love a play all they want, but why call it if he doesn't love it? I mean, we got plenty of other stuff we can do. I mean, that's just, it's like you want to force it because you love it so much at 1 in the morning watching it. Well, he may not love it, so I have always done a lot of things and believe in a lot of things that Coach Dillingham's talking about. I would talk to my QBs all the time. Hey, I'm going to X out things if you don't like them right now. And that's very similar to what he does, and which is exciting. I think you're never great at anything you do until you're allowed to be empowered. If you're just told what to do in anything, I don't care what it is, anybody's job, anyone's doing things, if you're just always told exactly what to do, you're never great, period. No one is. So just the ability for them to feel that empowerment without going way off the rails, there's a fine line, but to feel that empowerment, it allows the quarterbacks to get the very best out of who they are. They feel it, so it's that's the verbiage I've always used with the QB position is I'm going to look to empower you, and that way you're going to get to a great spot.